Welcome to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein, talking about the evolutionary, the revolutionary, the inspiration and the perspiration, and those aha moments that change everything. And now, here's your host, Rich Goldstein.
Rich Goldstein here, host of the Innovations and Breakthroughs podcast, where I feature top leaders and the path they took to create change. Past guests include Rick Cesari, Roland Frazier, and Howard Getson. This episode is brought to you by my company, Goldstein Patent Law, where we help you to protect your ideas and products. We've advised and obtained patents for thousands of companies over the past 26 years. So if you're a company that has software, a product, or a design you want protected, go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com, where there are amazing free resources for learning about the patent process. And you could email my team at welcome@goldsteinpc.com to explore if it's a match to work together. You could also check out the book I wrote for the American Bar Association that explains in plain English how patents work. It's called the ABA Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent. I have here today Joe Polish. Joe is one of the most respected marketers on the planet. His E.L.F. marketing podcast that he does with Dean Jackson not only has the best actionable marketing tips on a weekly basis, but it also has created a worldwide community of people that love marketing and want to continuously innovate in their own businesses. And that's just one project of Joe's, and it's a great example of how everything Joe does really has two components: service and connection. In the connection realm, Joe has created an organization and a community for entrepreneurs known as Genius Network that has hundreds of members and encourages them to grow and succeed, not only as entrepreneurs in their businesses, but also as people in their lives. And while Joe is extremely well known in marketing and entrepreneurship circles, interestingly, outside of those arenas, he's not exactly what you call a household name. Yet, he is personally connected to more household names than anyone I've ever encountered. From business leaders and celebrities to world leaders, Joe knows everyone, but he also has a real connection with all of them. In fact, a documentary was made about Joe called Connected that features a few of Joe's close connections, people like Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, and many others. In the service realm, not only does Joe care greatly about helping entrepreneurs, but Joe is also on a mission to change the conversation around addiction. There's really so much I could say about Joe, but I'd rather just start the conversation talking with Joe. So I'm really honored to welcome you here today. Welcome, Joe Polish.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. Great to be here with you.
Absolutely.
I got an idea from you right from the get-go. Like, let's.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
I know you're getting ready to interview me, and based on what you were just saying about how you help people with patent protection and stuff. I'm going to actually do something here, and there's a lesson for everyone listening. Is I'm going to go search for a URL to see if it's available, and so I want. And if you're online right now, Rich, maybe you can do this too, but you can go to GoDaddy or anywhere else and check and see if freepatentbook.com is available. Let's see if that name is available. Free
patent book?
Yeah, freepatentbook.com. Is it available?
Let's see.
How do you spell patent?
Patent. Patent book. Okay, let's see. Free patent book. There's free patent books, plural.com.
Free patent book is available. Patent?
Free patent book with an S at the end is available.
But it looks like free patent book without an how do you spell patent again?
Patent. Oh, yeah, there it is. Free patent book is available.
Okay, so now I want, before this podcast is going to be listened to, Rich is going to own those names for free patent book and free patent books. And you're going to put together a little book on some of your advice on patents. And anyone that wants information about patenting something, you can just say, go to free patent book, and you put information in front of them about what you know, how you know it, and it'll put people into you'll start a relationship with them. Just like I do with Joe's free book, because like our friend Jason Fladlin, who's in Genius Network with us, he says that, anything that you're selling, you want to put information in front of it. And when I was a dead broke carpet cleaner living off credit cards, one of the first things I did was created a consumer's guide to carpet cleaning to help me position. I would teach people how to choose a carpet cleaner. And since I was the one providing them with that information, they were the ones, they trusted me. And this was before the internet. So, before someone could do a Google search or watch a video on YouTube or, download something. I mean, I literally had to physically mail them a consumer's guide. Well, in the same way, it's permission marketing. You're positioning yourself. So like from now on, when people are interviewing you and they want information about, patents, you're like, well, just go to freepatentbook.com and you can get my free book. And then all of a sudden you can start educating them about what to do. And it's very valuable. It's super ethical way to market to people with the assumption that what you're providing them is valid, useful, helpful advice. And it's a great way. So that idea right there alone is just incredibly useful to someone like you and to the people that are trying to figure out about patents.
Yeah, no, totally. It totally is. And I felt you pull back a little bit when you said like it was incredibly useful from saying what I expected you to say. Well, like that there right there is a $250K idea.
Oh yeah, no, actually I was going to say maybe that's $1 million idea, but I don't want to over exaggerate it because
I know.
But seriously, that is definitely that is $1 million idea there. If again, it is developed, it may not come right away, but if you look at the lifetime value of just that one idea that applied to a client generation, I really think, a guy like you can do a lot with it. And now the reason I said it right from the beginning instead of like privately is I wanted to demonstrate to all of your listeners that what is it that you have that you could offer to people that is useful, that you can give to them for free, that would create enough value that they would end up wanting to do business with you and hire you. Because at the end of the day, I don't know how to file a patent, right? But if I at least understood why to do it, who would be the go-to person for me? Well, the person that's actually teaching me all the things I don't know that I don't know. Like no one wants to hire a carpet cleaner. And if every consumer has a system for selling, for buying what it is they buy, which is called price. And if you don't have a system as a business owner for selling what you're selling, you're always at the mercy of the consumer system, which is price. And if, the worst offer you can make is no offer at all. The second worst offer is a price offer. And so you can say, well, hire me to, do patent research or file a patent for you. Or you can say, let me teach you what you need to know about patents. And, I'm going to do that for free. And you get freepatentbook.com as an example. And then they go to a website, they can download it for free. If they want the physical version of it, you can say, I'll send you a hard copy of it, just pay shipping and handling. And by the way, would you like to receive my email or subscribe to my podcast? So like for your podcast you're doing here, it can also, that could become, would you like to subscribe to my podcast? When they go to that landing page and boom, they click there and you're getting, you can do whatever you want. You can get you put YouTube videos and build YouTube subscribers, podcasts. You can put people on an email list. But the main thing they're coming there for is that one useful, valuable thing that they're looking for, in this particular case, patents.
Yeah, and so you're giving them you're giving them your best information right off the bat for free to get them indoctrinated, getting them to connect with you and feel like this is someone that could help me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for their listeners, whatever your big idea is, and I know that Rich, you're going to ask me a bunch of questions, I'm sure, to go down that path. I just want to plant a seed in everyone's head that, this is just one way that you can think about your offering. And by the way, I never got a degree in marketing. I actually failed owning and operating a small business at Chandler Gilbert Community College, and I got a C- in principles of marketing when I went to school. In my early 20s. I'm now 52 years old, but, basically I've built a multi-million-dollar business and, a marketing organization that's, for my clients, and all the things we've done generated over a couple $1 billion that we can even track. It's probably a lot more than that. But, it all comes from the study and application of marketing. And I had to figure out, as a dead broke carpet cleaner when I first started out, how to learn marketing so I could eat, so I could survive. And I had to figure out how to sell something nobody wants to buy. And when you have to figure out how to package and position and advertise and market something nobody really wants, which is like carpet cleaning, no one wakes up and says, boy, I can't wait till the cat pees on the carpet so I can call a carpet cleaner. you learn interesting ways on how to communicate and how to position yourself. So I'll share some of those things as it comes along here.
Yeah, and it sounds like the main thing that you learned there, that you applied, was that when you have someone that you're trying to reach that's dealing with a frustrating situation, because they don't want to care about carpet cleaning, just like my clients, they don't want to care about patents. They don't really want to know that much about it. They just are frustrated by the fact that they don't know how to pick the person who can help them to get the job done. And so you connect with them by being the person who's willing to help and help them figure that out. And that's what creates connection. And then that's what really creates a client.
Exactly. And I think one of the, you said the key word there. I mean, if there's anything that I try to do is connect people with other individuals, with ideas, with things that'll be helpful. I mean, at the end of the day, we're selling products and services, but we're also selling feelings. And when someone wants IP protection, and I'm a guy who's invested a lot into having, trademarks and things copywritten. I'm building a VR company right now that's with a couple partners while I'm getting ready to go on a sabbatical for next year, which is a whole nother story. But we're going through patent protection on the stuff we're doing in VR. So there's a lot to be said about feeling safe. Why do you want protection? You want your ideas, you want your innovations, you want your business to be protected. You want to feel safe. So the feeling of safety, the feeling of security, the feeling of certainty, the patent just happens to be one of the mechanisms in order to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And but an interesting thing though is like that's where a lot of other attorneys go. The direction they go in marketing is towards the protection side of things, like where they're they're trying to get the other person to realize that, okay, you're not safe, you're not protected, you need to protect yourself, you need to not get ripped off. But kind of like the first suggestion that you had, it comes at it from a different part of the problem, which is that, okay, they probably already acknowledge the fact that they need to be protected, but they don't know where to turn. They don't even know how to do it. They don't know where to start. And so so approaching them from that other problem of, okay, I recognize that I'm not safe, but I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, let me say this, Rich. I mean, I wasn't thinking about going down this path, but I will. I mean, let's go back to when I was a Dead-Bro carpet cleaner, right? Now, I built the largest, for people listening that have no clue who the heck I am, many years ago, I built the largest training organization in the area of marketing for professional carpet and upholstery cleaners. And I was a Dead-Bro carpet cleaner who learned marketing so I could survive, like I'd mentioned. And I ended up turning this small carpet cleaning company around. And this thought went through my head like, man, what if I would have known these methodologies when I first started my carpet cleaning business? I wouldn't have had to gone deeply into debt. I wouldn't have been working the massive, 10, 12, 14, 16-hour days, getting paid nothing and going in debt to do it, trying to figure out how to make this work. I had no clue what marketing even meant. I didn't know how to advertise. Everyone was advertising price. A lot of people were using bait and switch advertising, which I not only despised, I would never do. I mean, later I even became one of the world's leading advocates against unethical bait and switch advertising. I even went on ABC's 2020 undercover with, at the time, investigative reporter Arnold Diaz and then Barbara Walters. And that was in the late 90s, where people can still watch that video on YouTube, which is funny. But I literally had a whole movement of don't do bait and switch advertising. It's super unethical. And, when I was first starting out, I didn't know any of that stuff. I'm like competing with people that are making these outlandish offers that they had no intention of honoring, like we'll clean your whole house for $29.95 or $6.95 a room, $5.95 a room. That crap is still done today, and mostly in big cities where people, I have no problem with upselling. It's how you do the upselling. I mean, if you exaggerate or BS or fleece people, or you use high pressure unethical selling in order to have your technicians make a livable wage, I mean, it's just dishonest. And so here I am, like, how the heck do I make this business work? And so I hired a copywriter early on to help me create my first marketing piece, which was the most effective marketing piece. Was I wrote a consumer's guide to carpet cleaning, and it said, read this guide and discover 6 questions to ask a carpet cleaner before you invite him into your home. I think it's 7 questions to ask a carpet cleaner before you invite him into your home. 6 costly misconceptions about carpet cleaning. 8 mistakes to avoid when choosing a carpet cleaner. Crawling critters and crud, a guide to the slime, grime, and livestock that's seeping, creeping, and galloping through your carpet. How to avoid 4 carpet cleaning ripoffs. The difference between value and price. Which method cleans best, how to get your carpet cleaner to 100% guarantee your work. So all of that was on the cover of this printed guide that before the internet existed. This is like literally 1992 when I created my first consumer's guide to carpet cleaning. And I paid a copywriter $1,800, which I had to borrow on credit card just to hire this guy. But I had the belief that if I could create a tool like this and get it in the hands of prospects, they would no longer call me and ask me, how much do you charge? They would call to request me to send them a copy of that consumer's guide. And then they would open up the guide. And I have all this from memory. As you can see, we're on Zoom right now as we're recording this. I'm not looking at any cue cards. I have all this in my memory. And it said, dear homeowner, choosing a carpet cleaner isn't easy. Why? Because you're bombarded by confusing claims, simply bad information, near worthless methods, unqualified technicians. How do you ever find a qualified, competent carpet cleaner? You start by reading this guide. So let me stop for a minute before I get to the punchline here. Everyone that's listening to this, if you're thinking, well, I'm not in the carpet cleaning business, how does this apply to me? Well, first off, you need to back up, maybe re-listen to what I just said with Rich and say, do you have 7 questions asked, 8 costly mistakes to avoid, 6 misconceptions, whatever. I mean, how to avoid X number of ripoffs in your industry. Whatever it is, what I was doing was I was educating people about how to make a buying decision. So that consumer guide went on to say, choosing a carpet cleaner is an easy. Why? Because all the things I just said. And then it would say, now with this information, you can make an informed, intelligent decision. And that's the key, because the number one question in all consumers' minds is, who can I trust? And so your job as a marketer, as a business owner, if you really want to connect with people, is you want to establish not just trust, but you want to establish rapport, which is trust with comfort. You want them to trust you and feel comfortable, and you want to do that robotically. You want to do that in advance. You want them to ask for that information, and you want to put that information in front of them so that they can make an intelligent, informed decision. And what I learned is it's not what people didn't know about carpet cleaning, it's what they didn't know that they didn't know. Until I gave them 7 questions, 8 mistakes to avoid, 6 costly misconceptions, how to avoid 4. They didn't know of those things. It didn't even occur to them, because they're like, my carpet smells bad, looks bad, is unhealthy, whatever. How do I find a carpet cleaner? Let me look for whoever has the lowest price. And whenever I would put that sort of information in front of them, they actually no longer, I gave them something other than the lowest price to make a buying decision based out of. And since I was the one providing that with them with that information, who did they have trust with? Because they're like, this person is teaching me how to make a buying decision, and they're not even asking me for any money in advance. They're putting that information in front of me, and it worked like gangbusters. And within the span of 6 months, I 5 times the gross revenue of my carpet cleaning business using consumer awareness guides. And then I also created free recorded messages where I would have the same information in a consumer guide on a 24-hour free recorded message. And so, because some people would call me up and say, they'd say, how much you charge? I said, well, I've created this consumer guide for carpet cleaning. It'll teach you everything you need to know about how to hire a carpet cleaner. Even if you never hire my company, it will give you the outline of what to look for. Let me mail it to you. And that worked great I would literally physically mail it to people. But some people would say, yeah, but I want to get my carpet cleaned tomorrow or the next day. And so I was like, well, how do I handle that one? So then I created a consumer's guide. I
was going to say, that's when you invented the internet in order to be able to fulfill that instantly.
Exactly. I spoke with Al Gore and we invented the internet together. So it's like, and those of you that don't know that pun, like supposedly Al Gore, which of course is fake. He said he invented the internet years ago. But so that's where I came up with more different ways to deliver education-based marketing to people in a robotic manner, which I now call E.L.F marketing, which is easy, lucrative, and fun. Because you can have an E.L.F business, which is easy, lucrative, and fun, or you can have a H.A.L.F business, which is hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. So everything I try to do in marketing is it E.L.F? Does it help people? Is it robotic? Is it automated?
Yeah, and that's a great segue. I mean, and that toward the things you do for entrepreneurs. And one of the things that you've done is create a lot of frameworks that are really helpful to an entrepreneur to kind of get out of the kind of whatever frustrating, annoying situation they're in towards something that's more efficient, more productive, that makes them happier. And that's one right there that I think we should maybe slow down and look at, which is really cool. It's the difference between E.L.F. and H.A.L.F. Now, E.L.F. is easy, lucrative, and fun, right? But what we're typically is we're stuck in H.A.L.F., which are things that are hard, annoying, lazy. I'm sorry, hard.
Well, it could be lame and frustrating. It could be lucrative and frustrating too.
Right.
Because you can actually you could have a lucrative business, but it's hard, it's annoying, it's frustrating because not all money's created equal.
Right. And these things could all they could be relationships, they could be processes, they could be types of customers. Just there are things in your business that are hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. And the key is to begin to look for things that are E.L.F., easy, lucrative, and fun. It doesn't have to be hard to make money. Like we're programmed to think that we have to work really hard at something, and it has to come at some type of personal cost or personal sacrifice for us to be successful. But there are those things out there that are E.L.F.
Exactly. And I think people come to that realization after they've spent a good enough chunk of time in H.A.L.F. related activities or with H.A.L.F. people, because, you don't know what you got till it's gone. In some ways, people take things for granted, but also once the H.A.L.F. is gone, you don't realize, wow, I didn't really have to work this hard in order to have success. And where I think it stems from is when we're first starting out in business, when you're metaphorically speaking, the chief cook and bottle washer, and you're doing everything, and you have to, you're the rugged individualist, and you may not have anyone working for you. You haven't, you don't have a team built up around you, and you don't have enough money to even do it. Even if you're trying to sell, you're trying to manage, you're trying to learn stuff. You're just juggling a lot of stuff, and and I say all of this in the middle of a pandemic when we're having this conversation right now. Even a lot of people that used to have maybe a functional business, and all of a sudden everything in the marketplace has changed, and everyone's thrown into a kind of a fear state. A lot what may have been much easier before is now incredibly H.A.L.F. for some people. And in the midst of all of those circumstances, I think if you step back and say, okay, out of all of the things that I do, out of all of the people I know, if I had to put them through the filtering process of which one of my relationships are the most E.L.F., which are the techniques, the methods, the strategies, the things that I've done that are the most E.L.F., and which ones are the H.A.L.F., and make a list of what in my life is E.L.F., what in my life is H.A.L.F., and what are the my friend Dave Kekich says, an hour of effective, hard, disciplined, and integrated thinking can be worth a month of hard work. And so, and this is a guy who's paralyzed from the chest down. He can't use his legs. He used to be a multimillionaire in his mid 30s, and in the 70s when that was a lot of money. And he had all the trappings of wealth, a house on Huntington Beach, convertible Mercedes, beautiful girlfriend, and had a freak accident and became paralyzed. And in the span of 2 years, a business partner stole most of his money. Girlfriend left him, literally lost the use of his legs. The technology didn't exist back then for them to do the surgery that would have been needed to, correct his spinal cord injury. And so here he is, in his 70s now, runs a Maximum Life Foundation and devotes a lot of his time to just, health and everything. He's the one that, gave me that quote about an hour of effective, hard, disciplined thinking. So if all of the, the listeners here were to just sit down for an hour and say, okay, I'm going to try to think in a way that is worth a month of work. Like in everyone, if you think about it, there's been, Rich, you can look at your own life. There's times where we've spent weeks, months, sometimes, a year working on things that have panned out and been nothing but half. And there's other things where the right person, the right idea, the right execution, the alignment of things, just all of a sudden it worked. And so everybody has those, but sometimes we get so caught up in the fears, the the difficulties, the overwhelm, the complexity of life that we don't often see them. And I think when you can step away from it and say, what are my, what are my stupid human tricks? Like I have a company called Genius Network, but I believe everyone has a genius network. Who are the people? And what I mean by genius network is a network of individuals, ideas, and connections that, if accessed and tapped into and thought about in the right way, would be like more valuable than anything else. It's not about how many followers you have on social media. It's like literally, what are the key relationships that you have the most alignment, that you resonate the most with, and can help facilitate, the obtainment of an opportunity, the reduction of a complexity, the elimination of a problem or a challenge. That's within your genius network. And when you sit down and identify who those people are, so do yourself a giant E.L.F. And a half list. What's E.L.F. in your life? What's half in your life? Who's aligned with you? Who do you want to be a hero to? What drives you nuts? And spend your time developing and nurturing things that are E.L.F. and eliminate things that are half. And the more you spend eliminating half, the more E.L.F. you have. And that's just, I mean, it works. To me, it's a pretty simple process, but most people don't do it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And the results you can get from it are amazing too. And it's like, once you find those things, like you said, the stupid human tricks, the things that you do, the relationships you have that actually are fun and that make money, then you can grow more of those. You get to discover what's the DNA that works for you, and gives you the best results and makes you happiest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about ideas, and a lot of entrepreneurs have ideas, and then they seek to turn those ideas into reality. And of course, turning them into reality is marketing. What do you think is more important? Is it the idea itself, or is it the marketing? Is it like, can you put lipstick on a pig, or like, what do you
Yeah, actually, many people do. There's a lot of products and services, and everything from supplements to you name it, that are cosmetic and that are not all that. And there's I think the ultimate thing is to have an amazing product that or service that creates value for others. And of course, value is in the eyes of the beholder, right? A Big Mac to someone that just wants to eat a Big Mac and have salty, fatty tasting food might be value. To me, it'd be like poison, right? So there's, different people perceive value in different ways. I mean, I'm looking for nutrition. Some people are looking for cotton candy, right? And so, when it comes to, ideas and marketing, it's interesting because I've learned so much from the world of marketing, and I've met some amazing people, and I've met some of the biggest con artists on the planet in the world of marketing too, where they don't respect people's IP, where they overhype things. And when I say overhype, let me make that distinction. Hype, even though the connotation of the word hype is probably not viewed as a positive thing. Let's just look at the word hype. Hype used ethically, if you were to call it that, is massive enthusiasm for what you're selling. Hype used unethically is lying, misleading, exaggerating, BSing, promising things you're not delivering upon. And that's the wrong way to use marketing. And unfortunately, marketing, which is not an industry, it's an activity, in the same way that, breathing isn't an industry, it's just something you do. Everybody is marketing. Everything that however you position stuff, most people think of marketing in the world of business, but there's Mother Teresa, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, they all had there was all marketing. Hitler had his marketing. I mean, you can argue like between which ones were actually useful for the world and which ones were the most destructive, murderous, horrendous things. So marketing is everywhere. Think of selling as influence, and think of marketing as storytelling. If you're more influential and persuasive, you're going to be more effective. If you tell a better story, you're going to enroll more people. You're going to be more compelling. So it's not that marketing is good or bad, it's how it's actually being used. And, utilize marketing, don't use it to use people. And so the thing with ideas, you can have the greatest idea in the world, but if you can't express it, communicate it, enroll other people into it, So you've got ideas, you got marketing, you got execution. And, me and Dean Jackson, who is my partner on my podcast, the marketing podcast we do, we did an episode a few years ago called Ideas versus Execution, which one's more important? Now, I believe, ideas are a dime a dozen. There's a lot of ideas out there, but if you can't execute them, then so what? And Dean's whole notion on that podcast is, the only thing that would make flawless execution better, like let's just assume flawless execution. You could not execute the rollout of a particular idea or a campaign or the manufacturing or the creation of a product or whatever, or the delivery of a service. Like you just had it across the board as best as you could do execution, like a fighter pilot flying a plane. They've looked at all their, it's just, they can't mess up. It has to be executed flawlessly. So he said, the thing that would improve flawless execution is a better idea. and if you think about it, it's actually true, right? So ideas are valuable. Execution is valuable. And you can have the greatest thing in the world, but if you don't know how to sell it, like what I learned painfully early on in my career, and I even hate saying this because I wish it wasn't this way. There's no relationship between being good and getting paid. I mean, you could be the nicest, most caring, most wonderful person on the planet that will, do anything to help somebody. And that doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Isn't that funny? As we have this little phone here in the background, I have my ring on my doorbell just went off and made that noise. So I apologize.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like the correlation between the best people in any field and the most successful is relatively low correlation. I mean, success is a skill all on its own, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you just getting to and same thing with ideas. Like the idea can be brilliant, but without the right execution, it's not going to go anywhere. And I think one of the things I got from what you were saying a moment ago about the only thing that helps flawless execution is a better idea, it almost sounds like the execution magnifies the idea. So a good idea with great execution can be great, but a great idea with great execution can be excellent or something like that.
Well, totally. And so I'm going to make the assumption that many people listening to, your podcast here, listening to us, are entrepreneurs. And so what is an entrepreneur? The first recorded use of the term entrepreneur was by a French guy named Jean-Baptiste Say. In 1804 is the first time, I believe, the use of the word entrepreneur was used. He coined the term entrepreneur. And it was an individual that takes resources from a lower yield to a higher yield, from a lower level of productivity to a higher level of productivity. So whenever you can apply entrepreneurial principles to make something better, you can take someone's thinking from one level to another, hopefully by just sharing the idea of, free patent book, or, like what we talked about with consumer awareness guides, getting someone to even think about how to position themselves and create value. That is taking someone's understanding of marketing from one level to a higher level. And so there's a lot of business principles that can sell pornography, that can sell pharmaceuticals, that can sell junk food, that can sell alcohol and tobacco and things that frankly aren't all that good for people. I mean, of course, that's my value system, right? So you can make money with all kinds of techniques, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's helping people. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing. So I look at entrepreneurial principles as when, whatever you're selling, whatever you're doing, leaves someone in a better state than they were before you showed up. And, you can be in the transaction business or you can be in the transformation business. And so I tend to really respect and appreciate achievement-focused entrepreneurs that are in the transformation business. They're not just trying to learn marketing so they can sell more crap to people. They're looking how to use marketing, how to enroll people to really change people's lives in good ways. And not because I'm some angel over here. I mean, I just think it's a better way to operate. It's like, what an amazing sort of business if you have people whose lives are getting better as a result of you, and they're telling you thank you, and they're saying awesome, and they're referring you to people, and they're continuing to buy from you. I mean, what better sort of entrepreneurial enterprise could there be? Because, being an entrepreneur is solving problems for a profit. And with your clients, from even our conversations beforehand, because I will tell you this, Rich obviously very much cares about the people that are listening to this podcast. Hence, why the heck would he be doing it? He gets joy out of knowing there's a bunch of people out there with ideas. They're trying to build and grow their enterprises, and he's sitting here, trying to help guide and direct you to have more confidence and capability and direction on what to do with it. So you got a bunch of idea people, they're out there with their ideas. They're trying to make them work. And it's like my friend Dan Sullivan says, your job is make it up and make it real. So you have a bunch of people that are making stuff up and they're trying to make it real. And you're having a guy like me come on and talk about how I did it in this
Right.
environment so that we can help these other people glean maybe direction and wisdom and how do you deal with success? How do you deal with adversity? How do you think about your thinking and all of these things
And
that
confidence.
go into it? Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, like
And
believing that they can do it, seeing that other people have done it before them, and it's possible for them to do it, to step outside of what they've personally experienced and step into a new realm where they could have results that they've never seen before.
Exactly. And it's great, like when we have people that are 20 years younger than us and we can say, okay, in the last 20 years, here's how many times I've gotten beat up, here's all the dumb mistakes I've made, here's the cool things that I've learned, and here's how to think about it. So, and the people that really listen and say, okay, what can I get from that? How does that apply to me? Those are the ones that are going to do the best with what it is being shared here. And that one saying I said, there's no relationship between being good and getting paid. There's a huge relationship between being a good marketer and getting paid. And what I mean by being a good marketer, that's being an ethical marketer, that's putting information in front of people that will help them, that's creating results in advance, that's 100% guaranteeing their work, that's teaching them how to make buying decisions, using emotional engaging copy, because you can't bore people into buying, is something that David Ogilvy would say. I mean, you got to make your messaging exciting. And really, Rich, I wish I didn't have to do any of this marketing stuff. I wish that people would just do business with me because I think I'm a nice guy and I know I offer a great, I know the stuff that I sell, helps people, and I know it's powerful and all that. And I wish I didn't have to, use social proof and, talk about, the stuff that I do in a way that is engaging and enrolling. But the fact is, that's the world we live in. The money fairy is not flying around just scrapping money on top of people. I mean, you have to go out and, you have to put your information out in front of people. You need to tell the story and you need to enroll people.
Yeah. And I think there's an interesting clarification to make about that. Like the correlation between being good and being successful is that you have to at least be good to be successful. Like you have to be able to do whatever it is you're selling. You need to be able to be a reasonably good marketer to succeed, let's say, as a marketing professional. But the mistake is to believe that my path toward being super successful is to get even better at my craft. And that's not the case. It's like you need to have the right level of competency. You need to be reasonably good at it, but getting better at it, like studying more about your thing, me becoming a better patent attorney isn't going to make me more successful. It's getting my message out to people is going to make me successful. I already know I'm good at what I do, and I'm better than most, let's say, I guess the mistake is to try to believe that trying to be the most brilliant attorney is going to get me to be successful. Not if I'm not connecting with people.
No, absolutely. And the thing is this, I mean, I say all of this with the caveat that, the best marketing in the world is not going to make up for a crappy product or service. It's like that's the reason I made the distinction between hype used ethically and unethically, is you need to deliver upon what it is you're offering. I mean, if you're going to say either outlandish things about what it is you offer, make sure that that outlandishness lives up to it, because too many people overhype things, and that's what makes people disrespect marketing. And in the long run, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot anyway. If you go out and oversell, I really prefer under promise and over deliver.
Yep.
That doesn't mean neuter your marketing and make it boring. It just means don't promise things you have either no ability or worse, intention of delivering upon. Make sure that you live up to what it is that you're offering. And that's why with really good marketing, it's not about just writing an ad or a sales letter or having a nicely edited video. It's really understanding what is the true value that you create. I mean, like, all money earned ethically is a byproduct of value creation. And if you're going to ethically make a lot of money, and I hope you do, and I think people should. I mean, the more value you can deliver to the marketplace, you deserve to be compensated in proportion to the amount of value. I mean, there are people that really deserve and have earned the right to make 1,000 times more money than other people simply because they have been 1,000 times more impactful in the marketplace than someone else. I mean, I don't believe everyone should just be, given money or given the same exact, compensation for effort, because, what does effort mean? Effort has to be directed in the right way to produce a result. You can work your butt off and not produce a result for somebody else. You can spend 30 minutes creating something amazing and make $1 million. I mean, it really depends on, that's the journey here of ingenuity, resourcefulness, competency.
Yep. Well, and I think we could draw a parallel back to the carpet cleaning in that too, is that part of the value you create out there in the world is the experience that the customer had through the process. So, part of the value that they obtained when they went through your process was the cleanness of their carpets. But then also part of the value they obtained was them feeling good about the buying decision, them feeling educated about it, that they made the right choice, that when someone asks them about their carpet, they enthusiastically talk about how they found the best company that helped them understand. And so that overall experience is part of the value they got. And it's not just about the clean carpets.
Exactly. I mean, I would tell for years, and I still do, I would tell my carpet cleaning clients, because I still own that company. It's Piranha Marketing. We have the Rich Cleaner System, and we have over 10,000 cleaning and restoration companies all over the world that have become members of that organization. And it's helped so many people have healthier, cleaner home environments. And I would say, there's no relationship, with sucking dirt out of carpet and being the best carpet cleaner and having them actually like you. I mean, you could be very impersonal. I mean, everyone's experienced a really probably competent doctor that had terrible bedside manners, spent, 3 minutes with them and may understand what was going on with them, but just didn't make them feel welcome, didn't make them feel cared for. Didn't express empathy. And one of the things I would do with my carpet cleaners, the people that would follow one of the many things that I would teach cleaners, because I have over 100 different strategies that we would teach to the cleaning and restoration companies, is to go into a home and not do what everyone else does. What most people do is free quote, free estimates. It's like, a lot of people just use service businesses to be free advisors. So we would have them go in and do a carpet audit where they would evaluate the condition of somebody's carpet. They would capture how old the carpet was, how many pets were in the home, how many adults and children, what sort of vacuum system was being used to vacuum the carpet. Did the carpet have carpet protection on it? How often is the carpet cleaned? Different elements related to the in-home environment. And what I would do is we would look for traffic areas where, in front of certain sofas, or the high traffic areas in the living room or the hallways. And we would explain to people, just like knees on blue jeans, you can throw it in a washing machine, but some areas of the fabric are going to get more wear and tear than others, which is why you would have, like the knees of blue jeans would be more worn than, the sides. And I would say, well, carpet is the same way. And so I would we would do a carpet audit, and we would ask the homeowner, I'd give them a sheet of stickers, and I'd say, any area that's of concern to you, go ahead and mark it, so we'll make sure we pay special attention. And I would involve the homeowner in because everyone's kind of playing a trick in a lot of ways on they're going to see, does this person notice it? A lot of people have gone to a massage therapist or a chiropractor or someone and say, let's see if they can find the area of my body that hurts.
Let's see how good they are.
Exactly. So it's like, why put that pressure on yourself? Don't be in the monologue business, be in the dialogue business. And so I'd give a sheet of these stickers, and then I would go throughout the home when I was doing it myself, when I first was learning, because I never taught anything to these carpet cleaners that I didn't do myself. There's a big difference. There's a lot of consultants that dispense advice that they themselves never take. And I literally was a convert of my own system. I transformed my own carpet cleaning business using my marketing methods long before I ever started selling them to somebody. I mean, I kind of got into the business accidentally. I never thought I would teach anybody marketing. I started using it because I had a business I needed to build, right? And so, and it actually worked. And then I was like, well, I've created all these recipes. Maybe other people could benefit from these recipes and pay me money to share these recipes with them. And that's how I ended up building, this business early on, which is now, dwarfed into like what it is today. But the thing is like when all those stickers were now placed on people's carpets, we would then offer a free room of carpet cleaning up to 200 square feet so that they can see the quality of the cleaning before they had anything else done. And we would do a carpet audit along with it. And it would, for one, everyone understood way more about carpet cleaning than they ever did from any other carpet cleaner. It didn't take a lot of time. And we got them involved, and people support what they help to create. And it's a really unique thing. And I'm surprised that most people don't apply more of this psychology and think about it as their own business. But I mean, sometimes the easiest way to sell something to somebody is just do Socratic selling. Ask them what it is they're looking for. What are your frustrations? What are your fears? What are your concerns? What are you annoyed with the way that, if you've hired an attorney in the past, what was the most annoying thing with the attorney or the doctor or the whatever? And so all the people with all these ideas that are out there, if your ideas will transform other people's lives, entertain them, help them, some people that are listening to this, Rich, they have, medical treatments that may save lives. There's other people that, they may have a game that they just want people to, play to keep themselves from being bored. I mean, there's, it's across the board, all the different ideas. The thing is like, put yourself into the minds of your prospects. It's the Robert Collier letter. There's a book called the Robert Collier Letter Book. He was a copywriter, written in the 50s, I believe, that book. And he says, as a marketer, as a copywriter, you want to enter a conversation that's already existing in your prospect's mind. So whoever your prospect is, how do you enter the conversation that's already existing in their mind? And so if you do, then they will feel understood. People don't buy from you because they understand what you do. People buy from you because they feel understood. And if you get I understood the mindset of the carpet cleaners. I knew what kept them up at 3 a.m, stressed out of their mind. I understood everything about them. And I was there able to talk to them, speak to them, help them, service them, deliver to them what it is. And, we built relationships with tons of them. And
Yeah, that's amazing. And on the subject of basically serving your customers and, let's say serving the world and making a difference and creating value for people. I mean, let's talk about the other work that you do, like with Genius Recovery, like where you're helping people and you're helping to change a conversation that has not been serving people on any end of that situation.
Yeah, so here's the dark side, I guess, of my my life, but not the dark side now, because it's actually something I've been able to transform into hopefully being really helpful to a lot of people. I had a really crazy childhood. I'm not going to give the long, drawn out story, and I also don't want to use mine as I've somehow had some horrible situation relative to other people, because everybody here listening has had probably some level of adversity to full-on trauma, mental, physical, sexual, emotional abuse, abandonment. Many people have witnessed some of the most horrendous things on, in the world, and it's just really deeply traumatized them or had impact. And so, I had a really kind of pretty bad childhood. If I had to think of what would be a good childhood, my mother died when I was 4. I had a lot of sexual abuse growing up. I became a drug addict when I was 18 years old. I was trying to medicate the pain and the anxiety and the depression in my life through snorting crystal meth, snorting cocaine, freebasing cocaine, getting high every day, at a very early age. When I was, you know, in my worst state, I weighed about 105 pounds from, you know, it was about 3 months straight that not a single day went by where I was not smoking cocaine by freebasing it. And I was a mess. I mean, I nearly died. I would wake up every day to get high, and I'd get high to go to bed. And, you know, I'm just amazed how resilient the human body could be if you don't completely destroy it. And I was just really in a bad place. And I ended up moving away from my environment just to remove myself from every relationship, every access to drugs, because had I not, I probably just would have killed myself. And it took me a long time to really deal with the emotional trauma. I mean, I became a millionaire before the age of 30, even in spite of having, you know, business success financially. And I was a very functional addict. I mean, I delivered really good stuff to clients and things, but I never dealt with the underlying sexual abuse. And so there was a lot of sexual addiction, which was an intimacy disorder. And when I was, you know, raped and molested as a kid, I was paid money not to say anything, and it wired in my mind that sex is shameful and it's dirty, and you know, you pay for it, and I just had just a terrible sort of template of what you know, human connection was. So the reason I bring all that up is I was one of the most disconnected, shy, introverted, scared kids and people and teenagers. I didn't know how to engage with people. I had friends, of course, but it was always with a level of fear and terror. And the only healthy fear is concern. You know, I mean, being terrorized or being scared, or, you know, I mean, all the different words for fear. You know, frustration is a combination of fear and anger. I wasn't concerned. I was constantly in a state of massive anxiety and worry. And even in my adult life, even as I was building my business. And so when I finally realized that even the sexual addiction, like, let me define the word intimacy. So my favorite definition of intimacy I got from a 70-year-old gay guy who I never met in person, just over the phone, because a friend of mine who was, you know, in recovery for sexual addiction introduced me to this person over the phone. And he said, intimacy is a mutual exploration of a shared safe place. Abuse is anything that takes away the safe place, and addictions are what we do to make ourselves feel good when we don't have a safe place. So whenever you don't feel safe in the world, you're going to look for a way to, you know, to self-medicate. And so I believe addiction is looking for love in all the wrong places. Addiction is doing something you don't want to do, or that you do want to do, that has compulsivity attached to it and leads to negative consequences. And so when I started really dealing with my addiction through everything from 12-step groups to therapy to somatic therapy to proper nutrition, because addiction treatment requires community, it's biochemical, serotonin, dopamine, healthy foods, fixing your health. The cause of addiction, I believe, is trauma. My good friend Gabor Mate says, you know, the question is not why the addiction, but why the pain. And so when I started really working on what was the cause of the pain and finding, you know, other ways to treat it, it was helpful. And then the fourth is the environment, putting yourself in a healthy, functional environment that's not, you know, triggering. Then all of a sudden I started getting better. And so I spent a lot of time. I've been in recovery now for 20 plus years. I've done a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to utilize my marketing skills to help change the global conversation about how people view and treat addicts with compassion instead of judgment, and find the best forms of treatment that have efficacy and share those with the world. So right now I'm using my marketing skills to have a foundation we created called Genius Recovery, which is an educational platform, videos, links to every type of meaning for not just chemical addictions from drugs and alcohol, but process addictions, behavior addictions, you know, sex, gambling, gaming, internet, workaholism, food. You know, there's a lot of addictions in the world. And a lot of entrepreneurs are addicts, a lot of very driven, because there's a book on workaholism with the subtitle, Workaholism is the Respectable Addiction. So my goal is to be a hero to entrepreneurs, because they're the ones that are providing jobs and providing value, and also help reduce human suffering through putting information out about recovery and the people I've met and the things that I've learned that have been very helpful for me in my recovery. And now in my life, you know, I'm in the best place that I've ever been at in my recovery. You know, addiction is real human suffering. And there's a lot of people out there that are good people, but they're embroiled. It's not about, you know, good or bad. We associate bad behavior with badness. And no one that's in active addiction is not mired in shame and guilt and self-loathing. And there's a lot of good people that just had unfortunate traumas in their lives, and the method of how they try to scratch that itch is with addictive behavior. So I care the most about just reducing human suffering through addiction recovery. And so that's why we created Genius Recovery. And there's a lot of if anyone's listening to this is struggling with with any form of addiction, people would say, hey, what's the best marketing strategy to build and grow a business? Oftentimes they'll be like, how's your sleep? How's your, so it's a connection. So to go back to, I could sum it all up. It's a Johann Hari line. The opposite of addiction is connection. And so my goal now is to be better connected with myself, help people connect with themselves. And if you're disconnected with yourself, it's very hard to connect with others. And if you want to be a good marketer, if you want to be a good entrepreneur, it's all about relationships. And if you have a terrible relationship with yourself, how hard is it going to be to have a relationship with a community, to build a community, to really genuinely care? So that's where empathy and self-care and self-love and the nurturing of your health. And so out of all the stuff that people could do, it's your health. It's that proverb, he or she who has their health has 1,000 dreams. He or she who does not have their health has only one. So my whole thing is sell people what they want, give them what they need. I try to, enroll people with marketing and make more money and build a business and grow a business. But ultimately, once I have some rapport with them, I'm like, let's take a look at the crazy shit that's going on in your life. How do we make you a happier, more connected human being so that you respond to life, not react to life? And when you're responding to life, you're responsible, you're more respectful. Earlier before we started this conversation, Rich, you were talking about IP. And one of the things that you do, extremely well with looking out for your clients is instilling, protection, but getting people to understand, like, what sort of a person doesn't respect someone else's property, that's very dismissive, that doesn't care, that's willing to take shortcuts. I would argue a lot of those people are mired in addictions, because when you're in a state where all you care about is yourself, you don't give a shit about someone else's property. You don't care about it. But when you respect yourself, you respect other people's property. Responsibility is responding with ability. It's really walking into the world and making sure that you do good. And so much of the crazy stuff that's going on in the world right now, it's just a bunch of out of control addict behavior, which is basically people that are traumatized, that haven't worked on their trauma. And unfortunately, in the worst state, addicts lie, they cheat, they steal, they cause a lot of messes. And so recovery is so critically important. I don't think there's anything that I could contribute to the world that I think would have more positive impact than helping people with their addictions.
Yeah, it's really interesting, though. I don't know if you see this piece, but it really is. I think you might view them as a little bit separate as your addiction work. You work with, say, Genius Network, but you tied it together with connection. So you said connection is the opposite of addiction. So it's like the extent to which you help entrepreneurs to connect, you're helping them with their addictions. Even if it's not a distinguished addiction, like it's a drug addiction or workaholism or something that they've distinguished and they've realized this is what's going on. Now, how do I treat it? But just by having them connect, by having them be in contact with other people, so that, like you said, like people stealing IP or people that are struggling with their own stuff, and they're objectifying the other side. Whoever they're stealing from, they're not seeing them as a person. They're focused on their own problems, and they're making themselves a victim. They're making it so that, oh, I have to do this because of whatever compulsion to succeed, to have their own company be more successful. What they're trying to do to fill that dark hole. The antidote to that is connection. Is being able to realize who are the other people involved in this, and to be able to see them as people. So it's like the thing you do for the world is you create connection, and that serves all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I found out of all, vitamin C, as my friend Ned Hollowell says, he's the top ADD, ADHD psychiatrist in the world. And he says what we all need is more vitamin C, which is vitamin connect. And if there's anything that I haven't found a great way to market this, but like I'd rather reduce human suffering. And I do focus more, and I mean, I think you see this in the work that I do. I just don't use it as like the headline on our landing pages, because no one's, looking for, high level, mastermind groups to reduce some human suffering. What I try to do is I like reduce human suffering of driven entrepreneurs that are out there trying to work really hard. Because, and unfortunately, some of the world's greatest contributors also live with the highest levels of pain, dissatisfaction, angst, and trauma. And if these people can accomplish what it is they've done in a broken, hurt state, imagine how much more value they would create in the world if they didn't have to carry the baggage of angst in the back. Now, some people would argue, well, if it wasn't for my pain, I wouldn't have accomplished all this, or the comedians or the songwriters. But I mean, you look at someone like David Bowie, right? So David Bowie, I think when he was 27, him and Iggy Pop went to England and pretty much sustained themselves on cocaine and milk for a couple of years as total addicts. And, Bowie nearly died, right? But he then recovered, and he then went on to create, another 40 years of art and music and, changing, his world and impacting millions of people. And, a lot of other people like the Jimi Hendrixes and the Amy, Winehouses. And
died at 27. Exactly that same point. They didn't go past.
Yep. So, I mean, and those are talented individuals, but they, Janis Joplin, there's a quote from her. I did an interview with Shep Hyken, Shep Gordon. Shep Hyken's another friend of mine. He actually teaches, so which is funny. How many people called Shep? But Shep, Shep Gordon.
Both of them.
Yes, I do. Yeah, but he made a movie called Supermensch, and he was Alice Cooper's manager for 50 years, and Alice Cooper, is a friend of mine also. I've got a great interview with Alice, which we're getting ready to put online. But it's like,
I saw you interview Alice, and
yeah, you were there in the room live when we did that.
Yep.
Yeah. And so Janis Joplin had said, who died of a drug overdose, I go out and make love to 20,000 people, and then I go back to my hotel room alone. And so, it's a sad state where you can go out and really just try to give your all to people, but you're disconnected from yourself. So my whole thing with anyone listening to this, you want to be a better marketer, you want to be a better entrepreneur. The issues are in the tissues. If you're disconnected, the sun is always there, but there's these clouds that get in the way. And I would almost, it's usually not what people expect to hear from a marketing guy. You want to be a better person, like take a look at all of those things that are blocking you from connection, and what are the things that are your fears and your angst and your traumas, and, like work on those, because the magic of joy in life is getting connected by the things that are, by removing the things that are disconnecting you. I mean, I think unlearning is more important than learning. A lot of people come to me because they're trying to learn stuff. I just try to smuggle in the unlearning, because, I've done more by unlearning the behaviors and the things that I would, thought were supporting me, but in reality, they were the biggest detriments to my future, growth and success.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just one final note on that too. It's like when people think about like, well, like my pain is so important to my art, or whatever, this problem, this addiction, this is what fuels me. But here's the thing is like, if it ceases to be a compulsion, if it ceases to be something that you don't have choice about, it's still there to fuel you, but now you have choice. It's like if you're not going to make the pain go away, but if the pain isn't compelling you to do something, then it can fuel you. You can be fueled by something, and still have choice. And the real key is having choice to do something. Like there are people that are funny because they felt a compulsion to have attention. And so that's what made them always make crack jokes. Now, once you realize that you don't need to get that attention to feel okay, you still have all of those skills at being funny, but now you have a choice that you could either crack the joke or you could remain silent in the same situation.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, I think, looking at I think one way that helps me is, am I reacting to life or am I responding to life? And when I was mired in addiction, I was reacting. And when I'm in recovery, I'm responding. Right. And I had a yoga instructor who's now literally my project manager. She's been my private yoga instructor for 5 years. And a couple months ago, she's like, I think I can be your project manager. And which, of course, was a weird thing for me, because I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, I watch all that you do and I see a lot of the stuff I can help you with. And, I've managed 40 people at the last, studio that I was running, and I've got a business degree and a finance degree. And so she's very smart. And I was like, well, she'd said to me 5 years ago when I was going through a breakup and I was in a real grief state, she goes, if you do yoga 3 times a week, it'll change your body. If you do it every day, it'll change your life. And so I made a commitment that I would try doing yoga every day for a month, and I did. And then I went another 83 days where I did yoga. In a 90-day period, I did 83 sessions of yoga in a 90-day period. So there's about a week that I missed over 90 days. And I swear it just completely shifted my reacting to life to responding to life. Not completely, but a little bit. And that's the best you can hope for. I mean, just these little small continuous improvements, like my friend and now my client, VJ Fogg, writes about in his book, Tiny Habits. It's just tiny habits. And so everyone, I hope that people listening to us take what we've shared and just think, what can you apply? I like treating everything like a 12-step group. Take what you like and leave the rest. Mm-hmm. And, and be nice to the people you meet on the way up. They're the same people you can meet on the way down. And one thing that I talk about a lot with addiction recovery is you can't punish pain out of people. To think that we're going to throw addicts in prison and that somehow is going to rehabilitate them, no, not really. It just creates you take already traumatized people and you put them in a more traumatic environment. It doesn't rehabilitate hardly anyone. What it does is it creates more crime, it creates more grief, it creates more angst. And, and this is not a free pass for people that have committed violent crimes. What I'm saying is there's, 40% of people I believe that are in jail or prison have committed a violent crime. The rest of them, they're non-violent crimes, and 80 to 90% of everyone that's arrested is drugs and alcohol were involved. We're not even including all the behavior addictions. We're just talking drugs and alcohol. And the number one killers in America for substances are sugar first, tobacco second, alcohol third, opiates fourth. And you can't punish pain out of people, and you can't punish pain out of yourself. So if you're one of those entrepreneurs that beat yourself up, negative self-talk, take a look at your addiction, because, I don't think life is meant to be a struggle. And if you're doing good in the world and you really have drive and and you're applying it, you're helping people, you deserve to have a good life. And you're frankly going to be more of service to people if you give yourself some slack and if you treat yourself well. So as crazy as it sounds, I love teaching people marketing strategies, but more than anything, I love to have people being connected with themselves, because the more connected they are, the better they can sleep, the better the parents they are, the better they are to their community, the more empathetic. And it's hard to be a really good marketer if you don't have empathy and care. And if you don't have a lot of care and respect for yourself, how the hell are you going to care and respect for others?
Absolutely. Well, this is now officially the longest podcast episode I've done, and it's because it's been a great conversation. I mean, there's a lot here, probably a lot more than anyone who tuned in to listen expected to get, and I think that's awesome. You
can edit half of it out if you think it's not. There's no, but yeah.
Wouldn't dream of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I mean, first of all, I'd love for you to come back another time and we can talk some more about some of this stuff, and that would be awesome if we do. But other than that, I mean, first of all, you've got the E.L.F marketing podcast, which is phenomenal. It's got hundreds of thousands of people listen to it, and it's you have the best people on. So just in addition to you really pull from the most talented, the pool of the most talented people to share the best marketing tips out there. So there's that. That's a no-brainer, the E.L.F marketing podcast. But if people want to get in contact with you or learn more about you and the things that we talked about, like Genius Recovery and Genius Network, how do they do that?
Yeah, probably the best thing, because I'm going to go on a 1-year sabbatical next year. So I'm going to be off the grid from January to December all of next year. So, but I have my whole team that's going to be running Genius Network, and I put out a lot of really great, valuable content for free, which sometimes is a mistake because if people don't pay, sometimes they don't pay attention. But I put out better information for free than what most people charge for. So joesfreebook.com, Joes, joesfreebook.com. I have a book called Life Gives to the Giver, because I believe life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. So people love that book. Super short, 1, 2, 3-page chapters, all about my musings on life and everything from business strategy to addiction to health to you name it, how to think about all kinds of stuff. So that's just a great place. If someone likes what I have to say, you don't need to buy anything. You can just download that book for free. If you want a physical copy, all you have to do is pay for shipping and handling. We'll send you a physical copy. And we're not putting people in downloads where you have to subscribe to things. You can, it's not a disguised sales pitch. It literally is it's a genuinely good book that people love. It's Life Gives to the Giver, joesfreebook.com. And then if anyone is struggling with addiction or a family member that wants just resources, geniusrecovery.org. There's links to all kinds of different meetings, 12 steps and ones that are non-12 steps that are available for free throughout the world. Virtual meetings, if you can't get to a live meeting due to the pandemic, and depending on where you're at in the world and depending on what time you're hearing this episode, the world's in a weird place right now. And links to videos and different podcasts and stuff, and it's all there. And so we're doing our best. Read the open letter if someone wants to understand my views on addiction. If you just typed in Genius Recovery open letter into Google, you'll be able to read a letter I wrote that describes what addiction is, how to think about it. And so many people, including medical professionals. I mean, I've been interviewed by U.S. News and World Report. I've got interviews online with all kinds of amazing people. So there's a lot of stuff out there. And yeah, and that's kind of how, and of course my name, anyone types in Joe Polish, like nail polish, into Google, you can find all kinds of crazy stuff.
Including like probably a little image of Joe Polish. There are Joe stickers everywhere. If you've never encountered a Joe Polish sticker, then you haven't lived.
Exactly.
And, I think I found one on an elevator once. It was like on the button on the elevator. I'm like, oh, there's a Joe sticker.
Oh, I got to tell you a real quick story. So Paula Abdul, the singer-songwriter, is a friend of mine. And Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank is a buddy of mine. And he sends me a video with him and Paula in New York. This is a couple years ago. And he was taking a selfie with Paula. And he had my sticker on his phone. And she's like, oh, no, a video. They were shooting a video. And then they then send me a video and it's Paula saying, oh my God, he's sitting here taking a picture of us in a video, and I see your face. And she's like, is that Joe Polish on your phone? Because she didn't know that we knew each other. And it was like the funniest thing, because she also had a Joe Polish sticker on her phone, because these things are like little viruses. They just like find their way somewhere. There's a whole story behind it. I was never behind creating stickers of my face. Someone did it for me. Now it's taken off into this ridiculous.
Exactly. Sort of it's not ego. It's just good marketing. Then we could leave it at that, right?
Well, it's probably ego too. It's low self-esteem, but no, it is funny. But the point is, like my buddy Dave Kekich says, things are seldom as bleak as they seem when they're going wrong, or seldom as great as they seem when they're going well. Lighten up, you'll live longer. So my whole philosophy is, look, life is hard. And when life is hard, it's a real bitch. And when life is great, it's great. Lighten up. Try to keep fun and joy. That's why I'm such a big believer in E.L.F. Hang out with people that bring joy to you, and get rid of dishonest, negative, and lazy people. I mean, it just brings you down. Life is too freaking short to be dealing with crap. And so arrange your life. You can fashion your own future, and you can design what it is that you want to design, and don't put up with crap. And if there's stuff that you're not dealing with in your own life, handle it, because life is the only thing worth living for. And so make sure you build a great life and do good stuff for other people, because when you're going through hell, and you will, everybody does, you want to make sure that you have people that will be there to support you and help you. And that's why I'm a huge believer. Don't leave scorched earth. Treat people awesome. Never give anyone a reason to shortchange them. Go out and hire a good IP attorney to protect yourself from all of the, all of the scumbags that are out there, and never be one. And just operate and treat people well, and and keep learning, because that's how you build and grow not only a great business, but a great life.
Awesome. Well said. Thanks so much for being here, Joe, and thanks for everything that you do. And I'm really hoping that you get great things out of this sabbatical, and looking forward to what you create or not after it.
Yeah, and I'll come back and talk about it after I do too. So great being here, Rich. Thank you, and I wish everyone listening the very best.
Thanks for listening to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web at innovationsandbreakthroughs.com, and we'll see you next time.